Guys, it's Jason over here at MRS Hobby, and today we're gonna continue our Riptide kit. Last time we did some kit bashing on our weapon arm. We've got that green stuff all in there drying away. So while that's drying, we're going to work on the shielded missile drones that accompany the Riptide. There's not a ton to them. These are pretty easy to put together, but they are, necessary for completion. So we'll go ahead and knock those out while some of our other stuff is, drying and so forth. So today we're going to just get our little instruction book back out, because we're not going to do anything super fancy with these. We're just going to kind of build them straightforward. This will be video 9 if you are sequentially following us. So that's where we're at, and we'll just go ahead and get started. We're just going to go ahead and clip these parts out like we've been doing. We've got the aerials, and then upper body of the drone, lower body, missiles, and this is a shield section. So we just kind of, it's pretty straightforward. We just kind of cut all this stuff out and put it together. With these, I'm just going to go ahead and build them one at a time, and then just kind of store them in our little storage box with all of our other bits and pieces, which is you can barely even see the stuff in there, but it is in there. So that's how we'll keep everything together until we're ready for final assembly. So we got our aerials out there, got our upper drone section, and then 22 is our middle section. When there's multiple parts that are exactly the same, since there's 2 shielded missile drones on the sprue, the numbers are going to be on there twice. So I've got a 22 here that I just cut out, which is this lower piece, and then I've got another one of those right here. So just be aware, like, oh, well, I didn't clip that one out. Well, you may have, but it could be the second drone. So alright, and we got our little missile wings over here. And that is all the parts. So we have our 2 aerials, upper drone section, and then back in the old bits box we've got our stands. These are called flight stands, and all the drones come with them. Some of the battle suits come with them, so you can make them jump. Well, let's go ahead and get this party started here. So just gonna take care of all our little rough spots really quick. if you guys have any ideas for other models after we finish this Apocalypse, Tau Apocalypse box set that you're interested in seeing built, or you know, have questions about, drop us a line here at the store, or come in and, you know, we'll see if we can't, you know, get it on the schedule. I'm actually building this one for my own army use, and I'm far from done, so if you happen to like these battle suits and stuff, then feel free to suggest those. I like building them. Now these antennae will these aerials will fit on here either way, but you have to kind of decide, like, they are kind of cocked to one side. If you try to look on it straight on flat, then you'll see that this one is kind of cocked out to the side this direction, and this one will be the opposite. So you need to be careful when you're gluing them on, because you can make them actually go into each other as well, which is not really aesthetically pleasing. But I mean, I guess if that's what you're wanting, then you know. Not just those little divots where I put the glue. This bottom section will just kind of fit right down into it. And so now we have the drone upper body. I've got this weird kind of drop that I'm not happy with. It looks like part of where it was hooked to the screw. One thing I've noticed, and you have to be kind of careful about, is whenever you're gluing your, your pieces together, sometimes they, like, you can, if you put glue in here, what will happen is when you push it together, it'll like want to come out because of the air that's trapped. So sometimes I think it's a little bit easier to run the glue kind of just around this outside section. And then there's some on there, but then it's not pushing out, which is good. I want to try to get that middle missile just kind of lined up with its eye straight on, so that it doesn't look like it's leaning to the side too much. A lot of times I'll do a combination of sanding and this tool to kind of smooth the surface off. Sanding will leave like scratch marks, but this will kind of come back and help soften everything up, make it look good. Alright, again, we're just going to run it around the inside here. And I don't know that there is a specific way that, or direction that this is going to go. I've never really paid all that much attention to it, so I just try to kind of find maybe the best side and have that be in the front. And then there we have the drone. So one thing that I like to do as well on all my, well, the majority of my bases, I use a cork. They sell some cork here at MRS. It's the stuff that they use for, you know, going underneath the railroad tracks for the model trains. Cork is cork, so that stuff is here and readily available. My piece is not that, but it's the exact same thing. It's just came in a different size sheet. And so so these drones, all the drones in the flight stands mostly come with like a clear 32 millimeter you know, base, and then it's got a hole in the middle where your flight stand goes into it. Fits kind of snugly in there, and then at the top of that it fits in here. But there's no grass or rocks or anything on here. It's just a clear base. If you're happy with that, then that's fine. But I've modeled my army with more kind of rocky bases, and so I use this cork, and it works really good, and we're going to kind of do that part now. So this is just, super glue. Any old super glue will do. Don't use your plastic glue. It won't work for this. It'll just not. But you're just going to get some dots on here, or run a little bead around. And then I take my cork and just kind of set this on there. And since it's in a dome shape, I try to bend my cork around it and hold it down until it kind of sets. This can take a little time. Once it sets, it's usually on there pretty good forever. And then we'll kind of do some manipulating to make this stuff look like rock or earth, or something like that. You kind of have to hold it like a bowl. The nice thing is it's clear, so you can see where the glue is spread to, and so you can just kind of, when you're done and it's on there pretty good, you can just kind of break it off around the sides of the cork. So this stuff is cool because, like, once you prime this and paint it, if you just do kind of a dry brush of, like, say you prime it black, then you do like a dry brush of gray, what you're going to get is something that kind of looks like asphalt or rock in these little sections here. It'll stay mostly black in these deeper parts, and the dry brush will kind of just catch the high pieces, which is kind of cool. Mine, I kind of model like a kind of a red rock, because we're here in Utah and we've got red rocks here. I don't know if the Tau have ever come here or will, or there are red rocks and other planets in the game, but we're gonna say that there is some level of that. So now I've just kind of trimmed it around the sides there, and then what I've got is just a multi-tool that I've had for a long time, and it's got a file built into it. It's kind of, usually I do this over like a big mixing bowl so that I can kind of catch all of this stuff, but for now we're just going to kind of use this, and what I do is I just kind of file it down so that the base is, the cork is, you know, not overlapping the base too much. It doesn't take much effort, and you don't necessarily want anything to be like this uniform, like, you know, you want it to be kind of abnormal and have little broken spots, or if, you know, the base is, the original base is showing but it's primed, then it kind of looks, you know, like it's where the ground is and a rock's laying on top of it, which can be kind of cool. I've gotten a lot of questions about how I've gotten my bases on my full army done, and when I tell everyone, oh, it's just cork, they're generally surprised because of how well it looks like a rock or asphalt or whatever you want it to do. The cool thing about this, using this cork as well, is as you file it down, you kind of get this little byproduct, which is kind of cool. And it's just like the cork dust or whatever. So one thing that you can do that's kind of cool is you can just glue this down, and it looks like little rocks that are there naturally on the, you know, on the base, and you can just prime right over them, and it's good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to drill out our hole that we just covered with cork. It's still there on the bottom, so I'm just going to find my bit and see. And that's the one. Grab my drill. And then just gonna go in from the bottom here, so you get your hole right in the center. Then you can take your, now we've got our hole kind of plugged right through the middle there. And then we can take your flight stand and you just kind of push it down into that cork, and it will actually start to seat down into the hole that it fits into naturally. But don't glue this in until you prime this base, because you don't want your flight stand that's clear to be whatever color primer you're using, you know, red or black or whatever. But the nice thing is once you push this through here and get it seated, it also, the cork, you know, leaves a perfect little hole for it. So you've got your rock light base and your drone. You can plastic glue your drone onto here. I've done that in the past, but more recently I've stopped, and the reason being is this little part of the stem right here, it likes to break. If you drop this on the floor and it's glued, it will break, and then you'll have the clear plastic bit in the hole here where it fits in, and then the broken stem. There is a way to repair that. You just take your pin drill and you would just drill into the hole at the base of the drone, and then you can drill straight down into this clear flight stand. And then what I'll use is a paper clip. I'll just straighten a part of it out, and then I'll set it down into the hole that the newly created hole that I made, and then, you know, keep drilling it in until I get a, you know, a decent amount of, you know, down into the clear flight stand, and then I'll clip it with like a pair of dikes to length, and then you can just you know, super glue the metal pin in the bottom of the drone where the hole you created, and then into the flight stand, and it shouldn't break again. The metal is not near as fragile as the clear plastic bits there, but that's how I've repaired mine in the past. It works pretty good. It's very sturdy. Or you can just have a bunch of bases and a bunch of drones without not the hole filled, and then when you go to play, whatever type of drone you want to use, you can just grab a stand and pop it on there, and you know, you're good to go. It'll fall off if you turn it completely upside down, but usually when you're playing, you know, 40K, that's not going to be something that happens. So alright, so that's it for today. Next time we are going to start a final assembly of the Riptide, start putting all the parts that we want before we start to paint, like primer it. So build the arm assemblies, build the leg assemblies, probably glue the legs onto the main body, and then leave the engines off, and then primer everything, you know, so that you can get, when you paint it, you can get back here into these back sections, which are usually really tough to get into once it's all glued in there together. On your primer and paint, and it's you know, you won't have any of those phantom gray sections that you just couldn't get your brush into. So we'll kind of go over the planning for, you know, setting yourself up for primer and getting ready to paint your model, and how to and what things to think about as we, you know, go forward with that. But until next time, guys, my name's Jason, and we'll see you around.